Hello, let's talk about Master and Margarita. Well, it is novel that was written by, Mikhail Bulgakov. Well, what can I say? We have some problems with text. It is unfinished novel. Well, you see, the author edited the text before his end. He continually edited it and he didn't stop. And he died because of some disease, but we don't have finished text. We don't have something like this is the last version, I will bring it to editor or to publisher. No, we don't have it. The second problem, there was censorship in USSR. So if you wanted to publish some work or to make a movie or something else, you should understand that there will be somebody who will read your article, and this why you should someone correct your text. For example, something you should delete, something you should add, and so on. And maybe Bulgakov thought that he should edit his text to make it possible to publish. And it is the second problem. And the third problem is, we don't have the last edition. We don't have the last, the final edition, because we have a lot of drafts, and there were several versions of text, and there were one scholar, Saakyan's, who wrote all Bulgakov's drafts, and who read it and who choose what did he mean. Well, did he mean this, or what of his note we should see in a text. So we just have a lot of drafts, a lot of textbooks, a lot of papers, and we don't have a book at all, and it is difficult. So we read something that was corrected by Saakyan's and Bulgakov's wife. So it is difficult to say that it is final work and it is the text that Bulgakov wanted to see. And it is sad. First of all, we have Voland. First of all, we have three plot lines. First line, it is Voland and his companions, Koroviev and Begemot, and Azazela and Gela. So we have five persons. And what can I say about them? It is satire on a Soviet everyday life, because there are a lot of moments where Bulgakov showed us how unjustified was the Soviet society, because somebody had a lot of rooms, or somebody had a flat and a very good food and a very good suit, and somebody didn't have it, and it is sad. And this satire is, just brilliant. The second plot line is devoted to Master and his Margarita. They love each other, they suddenly fall in love with each other, and Margarita is someone like producer to Master, and she produced his book. He wanted to make this book published. And this love is, well, kind of, I don't know, it is very sudden. It was very suddenly. So Margarita is, well, I don't know, well, she is so in love with him that she is literally go to devil and she make an arrangement with devil, well, to make her, devil give to her master. And I don't know, something, I don't know, it is too strong maybe. I just didn't see in this world such love. This what I mean. Something wrong with it. And yet one, she is married. So this love is kind of, well, I don't know. They shouldn't be together. They shouldn't just because, well, if you are married, you have some duties. You shouldn't sleep with other men or women if you are married. And this why I don't quite like this plot line. And their love is too strong. Well, it is very strong. And the most interesting part of a book is devoted to Jesus Christ and how he was crucified. It is sad part of book, but it is very interesting. Well, Bulgakov made Jesus Christ to speak, and well, I like it. It was written quite well. I just could see, and this master and this Ponti Pilate and other people. Well, talking about characters, well, I don't quite like Master. Why? Because, well, he wrote a novel, and this novel was hardly criticized, and he was broken by this reviews. Well, you see, there is nothing in such reviews, nothing, I don't know. Why did you think it is something, well, he's so weak, I don't know. Well, if you try to write something, so maybe you will get some, if you try to write something, maybe you will get some negative reviews, and you should to be prepared for that. And well, he's weak, but from another point of view, we shouldn't say that he's just so weak. Just because he was, well, he lived in a Soviet Union, and in a Soviet Union it was a very hard time. Well, 13th years, it was time of Stalin's repressions. And maybe this master, he was afraid of these repressions, and maybe he understood that it wouldn't stop so easy, that after that somebody in NKVD or KGB go to him and ask him, what did you write and why did you write it, and what do you think about the Soviet power, and so on. So he was broken not only because of his of negative reviews, but he afraid repressions. About Margarita, well, I don't know. Well, she lives with a rich husband. She didn't work at home. She didn't do any home duties. Well, she didn't prepare food. She didn't prepare food. She didn't clean house. She didn't do anything. And she find herself a lover. She fall in love with lover, and she lived for money of her rich husband, and she in that time slept with another man. It is not very good. Well, she is ready for everything for a man who she love, but maybe she should parted with, she should divorce with her husband because now she is just cheater. Well, Margarita went to that flat, and she met Diablo and a lot of killers, murderers, rapers, and poisoners, and a lot of other people to bring her master back. Well, true love, but I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't like to live with such a woman. Well, we have Volant and his companions. And you see, I don't think that they did something well. Because, they didn't punish the evil or injustice in Moscow. They just do a lot of, bad things. Well, for example, Berlioz, who not only suffered completely, but even after death, Volant made fun of him. Why Berlioz is... why did they do such a thing with Berlioz? He didn't deserve it. Berlioz was a, normal man, he was a good man. For example, Varinucha, administrator. He didn't want to give... there was a person, Rimsky, and he became old, very old, with a shaking head, with a white hair. You see it, he was broken man after what he met in this theater. Or Varinucha. Maybe he was rude while he was talking on telephone, but I'm sorry, he didn't deserve all of this. He was an honor man, and he wanted to defeat devil and his company, and he was broken because of this. And the most of all, it is Ivan Бездомный. Ivan Бездомный, he was a poet. And you see, it is a bit of irony in his fate. Master was criticized, and he got a lot of, not a lot, 3 or 4 negative reviews, and he was broken because of that reviews. But his novel was read. And what about this poet Ivan Бездомный? This master, he didn't read all his poems, and he just he just said that his poems are bad, are disaster. So master criticized this poet, and he broke this poet. But master was broken by another man. So I think it is not very good. You see, I think that Bulgakov didn't live in a right country. He was a very famous poet and novelist. Not poet, but he wrote a very good books, and he could be a very rich man. For example, like John Rowling. John Rowling wrote a lot of very good books, Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets and so on. And she got a lot of money because of her book. So Bulgakov was such a man. He wrote a lot of very good books, and he should get a lot of money. And what next? And after that, Soviet power decided to destroy him, to punish him, to devastate him, and he wasn't allowed to publish. He wasn't allowed to present his works in a theater. He couldn't find a job, and in that time, Bulgakov saw how a lot of people had a lot of money, a lot of privileges. They got very good buildings, a very good flats, and cars, and good food, and good suits, and a lot of money, only because they praised Soviet power. It wasn't right. It wasn't justified. It was something like mistake. It was rude to Bulgakov. Bulgakov is talented writer. Why he shouldn't get money for his books? What is wrong with that? If you wrote a very good novel, you wrote a very good novel. I want to give you some money. What is wrong with that? And in Soviet Union there was such a situation where, there were something like unions of workers of art. And if you wrote a poem where you praised a Soviet power, you got some privilege. It was Soviet power, and Bulgakov saw it, and he didn't like it. He didn't like it at all, and he wanted just to leave Soviet Union, and he wasn't allowed to do it. And he understood what happened to him. He understood that there were some countries, for example, USA, Great Britain, British Empire, or French Republic, where he could live with his more happy life, and he couldn't go there because of, I don't know, because he didn't want to lick boots of Soviet soldier. It wasn't right. And he wrote about this, his novel. He wrote about how injustice was his society. For example, there was idea that that in that art unions you will get some help from other writers, and they will teach you how to write, and it is good. For example, we have in Poland a lot of writers. Maybe they should be something like in a union. Okay, nothing wrong with it. But Soviet power make them price itself. Or for example, you couldn't sell your books. The state will sell your books, and the government will publish your books, and the government will decide who will publish, you or another person. And maybe they thought that somebody will choose who is good for publishing and who is not suited for this. But we had different situation, and now Bulgakov can see, and now Bulgakov could see, I am a good writer, but I couldn't publish my book, and that man is an awful writer, but he praised Soviet power, and he can publish his book, and he can get a lot of money, a lot of privilege because of his book. And Bulgakov was devastated by this. And what about this novel? It is about repressions, about a Soviet system who oppressed writers. For example, you have said something wrong about Stalin or Soviet power. What would they do with you? First of all, they didn't allow you to leave the country, the Soviet Union. And then somebody will say to Soviet official that, hey, we have heard that he have said something not very good about you, and then he would be taken by KGB, by NKVD, by other by just militia or policeman, and they would put you into a prison. And Bulgakov saw all of this, and he didn't like it. This was what about this novel. And as a conclusion, there are a lot of humor, and it was written in a very easy language. You just read it, and it is very easy to read. And the plot, and it was easy to read, and the plot is very interesting. Well, about Master and Margarita, and about the Volant, and when I read about Master and Margarita, and their love is true, and it is very interesting. Well, maybe I wanted to have such a wife, and these chapters about Jesus Christ, well, it was very interesting too. Well, it is quite interesting book, and I can recommend it to you. Thank you for your attention.